Have you ever felt like life keeps throwing a series of sucker punches and no one gave you the manual on how to dodge them? A frustrating job, roller coaster relationships, and let's not even talk about those unfinished dreams. But here's the twist. No matter how hard life hits you, stand up, dust yourself off, and keep moving forward. If that sounds familiar, congratulations, you might just have one of the most powerful tools out there. A strong mind. Having a strong mind doesn't mean you're immune to setbacks or failures. It's about how you adapt, learn, and refuse to let negativity take over. Stoic philosophy reminds us we can't control the punches life throws at us, but we can control how we respond to them. If you've ever told yourself, "I'll get through this," even when your world felt like it was falling apart, this video is for you. Let's dive into the 7 signs that reveal you have a strong mind. Get ready, because you might discover just how much inner strength you truly have. Let's get 1. You're in control of your emotions. Started number 1. You're in control of your emotions. It's a busy morning at the office, and you receive an email from your boss criticizing your recent work. Despite knowing you didn't make any mistakes, anger flares up, and your first instinct might be to fire off a sharp reply, but instead you pause, take a deep breath, and take time to analyze the situation. You realize that reacting impulsively would only make things worse. After an hour, you respond professionally, clearly, explaining your position and providing evidence to support your work. The result: your boss not only understands the situation, but also appreciates your composed approach. Stoic philosophy teaches you emotions should not dictate your actions, but serve as information to respond. Wisely, you don't ignore your emotions, but you know that acting on impulse rarely leads to positive outcomes. Instead, you let your emotions settle, allowing reason to guide your actions. This patience not only helps you resolve issues effectively, but also earns respect from those around you. Controlling your emotions extends beyond the workplace. When a friend or family member says something hurtful, you don't immediately lash out. Instead, you calmly assess whether it's worth responding at all. This isn't indifference, it's a way to protect your inner peace and avoid unnecessary conflict. By managing your emotions, you handle challenges more effectively and shape how others perceive you. This isn't an easy skill to master, but with each small step and every thoughtful decision, you're building a strong mind, one that remains steady in the face of emotional waves and knows how to navigate any two. You know how to handle failure. Situation 2. You know how to handle failure. Remember the time you applied for your dream job but didn't get a response. Instead of letting the disappointment consume you, you told yourself, maybe this is a chance to grow. You signed up for a new course, improved your resume, and kept applying for other opportunities. Eventually, you landed a job that suited you even better. You understood that failure was just a stepping stone, not the end of the road. On the other hand, your friend faced a similar setback but reacted differently. He felt like all his efforts were wasted and began doubting his abilities. Instead of improving or trying again, he gave up on his goals and settled for a job he didn't truly enjoy. Stoic philosophy reminds us we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. With your strong mind, you chose to learn from failure and used it as a driving force to grow. You didn't let obstacles hold you back. Instead, you saw them as challenges to overcome. The difference lies in how you approach failure. Rather than drowning in negative emotions, you look for lessons and opportunities in tough situations. This mindset not only helps you progress, but also builds your confidence and resilience. When you know how to handle failure, you show the hallmark of a strong mind. You recognize that every setback is an opportunity to rise stronger, and it's this attitude that keeps you moving forward, closer to achieving your goals. 3. You learn from your mistakes. Imagine a boy named Jack learning how to ride a bike on his first tree, Jack wobbles, loses his balance, and tumbles to the ground with scraped knees instead of crying or giving up. Jack sits down, looks at his bike, and asks himself what went wrong. After a moment, he realizes he went too fast. Without properly balancing, Jack gets back up, tries again, this time moving more carefully and steadily, little by little. He masters the bike, and before long he's riding through the neighborhood with a wide grin, savoring the freedom he's achieved. Meanwhile, Jack's friend Mick also wants to learn how to ride, but he quits after his first fall. Mike feels the pain and thinks, maybe biking just isn't form. Instead of trying again or figuring out what went wrong, Mike gives up and never gets to experience the joy and freedom that Jack now enjoys. Stoic philosophy teaches, failure is not the end, but an opportunity to start again with greater wisdom. Jack understands this. He doesn't see falling as failure, but as a lesson. Each time he tried, he not only gains control of the bike, but also builds confidence and resilience, traits that will help him tackle bigger challenges later in life. Admitting mistakes is never easy. It takes honesty and courage to confront yourself, but like Jack, when you embrace them, you don't just overcome immediate problems. You grow stronger in both skills and mindset. Every mistake becomes an opportunity, not a barrier. The difference between Jack and Mike isn't about who fell or who's better, but in how they responded to failure. One turns it into motivation to improve, while the other lets it become a roadblock, and that attitude creates two very different paths in life. When you learn from your mistakes, you're not just fixing the past, you're unlocking the door to future success. You live life according to your values. Life according to your values. Imagine receiving an enticing job offer from a prestigious company, a position with a high salary and status, but accepting the role would mean sacrificing time with your family and compromising your principles about work-life balance. Someone with a strong mind would pause to consider, does this truly align with my values? Instead of being swept away by the allure of money and power, you decline the offer. You choose a career that aligns with your principles and long-term goals, even if it doesn't bring immediate societal recognition. On the other hand, someone without a strong mind might be easily tempted by the flashy benefits. They might accept the job out of fear of judgment or a need to prove themselves to others, but over time they feel drained and disconnected, realizing they've lost sight of what truly matters because their choices were driven by external pressures rather than internal values. Stoic philosophy reminds us true freedom lies in living according to your values, unshaken by the opinions of others. Living true to your values isn't easy. It requires self-discipline, to resist temptations, and stand firm against societal judgment. But when you succeed, you find true freedom, a life where you don't regret trading away what matters most for fleeting gains. You don't need validation from others to know you're on the right path. Every decision you make, from your career to your lifestyle, reflects your principles and beliefs. This is how you create a life of meaning and authenticity. And by doing so, you not only navigate external pressures, but also cultivate peace of mind and confidence in the path you've You're able to be your truest self. Chosen 5. You're able to be your truest self. Imagine you're at a social gathering where everyone is dressed to impress, sharing stories designed to capture attention instead of getting swept up in the glamour. You choose to wear something simple and comfortable, sharing honest stories without worrying about what others might think. You don't feel the need to pretend, because you know your worth isn't defined by someone else's opinions or judgments. This quiet confidence comes from truly understanding and accepting yourself. In the same room, there might be others striving to craft a flawless image, picking expensive outfits and telling stories that align with the crowd, even if they don't believe them. Deep down, this constant Performance takes its toll, leaving them drained because they're not living authentically, but rather chasing expectations that aren't their own Stoic philosophy. Reminds us, no one knows you better than you know yourself. With a strong mind, you don't seek external validation. You're willing to acknowledge your flaws and share your thoughts openly because you understand that authenticity is the foundation of strength. This not only brings inner peace, but also creates meaningful connections rooted in genuine understanding. Living true to yourself isn't easy, especially in a world that pressures you to conform to external standards. But when you break through those barriers, you find true freedom, not in pleasing others, but in knowing you're living in alignment with your values. In that authenticity, you become not just stronger, but also more deeply connected to the purpose behind your choices. 6. You have a strong sense of self-worth. 6. You have a strong sense of self-worth. Imagine deciding not to follow a trending fashion style even.
Independence as long as you have strong relationships. They can't manipulate you, so their goal is simple: cut you off, make you feel alone and weaken your sense of self. Here's the truth. Isolation is a tactic of the weak. Those who crave control can't stand when you think for yourself. So they spread rumors, create divisions, and subtly influence those around you. They want you to second-guess your relationships, question your worth, and ultimately become dependent on them. The more isolated you feel, the easier you are to control. Think of it like a wolf pack in the wild. Predators never attack when their target is surrounded. They isolate their prey first, cutting them off before they strike. Manipulators do the same. They don't move against you when you're supported by strong allies. Instead, they create tension, fuel misunderstandings, and slowly pull you away from those who truly care about you. But once you recognize this, you take back your power. This is where Stoic wisdom serves as your armor. Seneca once said, "Associate only with those who improve you, avoid those who would pull you down." That's the key. True friends won't be fooled by lies. Real allies see through deception over time, and those who turn against you so easily, they were never truly with you. To begin with, I once knew someone who tried to turn others against me. It started small, subtle remarks like, "I don't know if you can really trust them." Then came exaggerations, twisted words, and quiet seeds of doubt. At first I was frustrated, tempted to confront them to set their course straight. But then I realized the more I fought back, the more power I gave them. So instead I did something different. I stayed true to myself. I focused on strengthening my real relationships. I let my actions speak louder than their words, and over time, the truth revealed itself. The ones who mattered stayed. The ones who believed the lies, they were never mine to begin with. So how do you handle people like this? First, stay calm. The more you react, the more fuel you give them. Second, nurture real connections. Those who truly know you won't be deceived for long. And finally, don't chase those who walk away. If someone is easily swayed against, you let them go. At the end of the day, those who fear your independence will try to isolate you, but they can't break what remains unshaken. Stay strong, stay connected, and remember, real relationships don't fall apart because of someone else's lies. Number 5, they challenge your confidence. 5. They challenge your confidence. When people can't control you, they don't always fight you directly. Sometimes they take a quieter, more insidious approach. They make you doubt yourself. They won't openly attack your choices, but they'll plant subtle seeds of uncertainty. Are you sure that's the right move? That sounds risky. I don't know. Maybe you should think it over. Why? Because if they can shake your confidence, they regain influence over you. The more you second-guess yourself, the more power they have. And before you know it, you're hesitating, seeking their validation, questioning what you once knew to be true. Think of confidence like a sturdy bridge. You know it can hold your weight. But imagine someone standing nearby, whispering, "What if it collapses?" You were certain at first, but the more they talk, the more doubt creeps in, not because the bridge is weak, but because they made you question it. That's exactly how manipulators work. Your judgment is solid, but they shake it on purpose. The key is to recognize what's happening and keep walking. And this is where Stoicism gives us strength. Epicurus once said, "A person's worth is not determined by external approval." True confidence doesn't come from others agreeing with you. It comes from trusting yourself, The moment you stop seeking validation and stand by your decisions, you become unshakable. I once dealt with someone who questioned every decision I made. Are you sure that doesn't seem like a good idea? At first, I explained myself, trying to prove I was right, but then I realized they weren't questioning me because they knew better. They wanted me to doubt myself. So one day I simply said, yes, I'm sure, no justification, no debate. And just like that, they had nothing left to say, because confidence doesn't argue, it just stands firm. So how do you handle people like this? First, trust yourself. If you made a decision based on reason and experience, don't let their doubt shake you. Second, stop over-explaining. The more you justify yourself, the more they'll poke holes in your confidence. And finally, remember this: just because someone questions you doesn't mean you're wrong. At the end of the day, confidence is power. People will test it, challenge it, and try to weaken it.